Right, Mark. So, going to talk about seventh chords today. A few different types. So, I'll give you chord diagrams for these, but what I want you to do is try to find them for yourself, right? Because you know yourself, there's any number of different ways of playing the same chord. So, if you look up A7 in a chord diagram, you'll almost definitely get that one, right? But you know, the one you're after might be something like that, right? So you're probably not going to get a chord diagram for that, but you can find it if you know how they work. So we'll get straight into it. So a seventh chord, if we're talking, the names are a little bit confusing now. So we'll start off with just chords like A7, C7, and all that, right? So what that is, it's a major chord with a minor seventh in it, right? So you wouldn't know that from the name, right? So it's a major chord. The third, in other words, the third in the chord is high, but the seventh is low. The seventh is two semitones below the eighth, right? So a seventh chord then is a major chord with a note in it that's two semitones below the eighth, all right? So we'll start off on A. And by the way, the eighth, when we say the eighth, that's basically, you know yourself, the way we all sometimes we'll refer to the note as an eighth, but then might refer to the same note as the first, right? So it's the name note of the chord. So in this case, when I say the eighth, what I mean is any note in the chord that has the same name as the chord that's just not the lowest one, right? Just any A note that isn't the lowest, that isn't the root note, the bass note. Okay, so for A major, there's the A note in the A chord. For an A7, we're taking that down by 2, so we're on the second fret, so we just let it go. Now, another way of doing it, though, would be to say that that's an eighth here, right? So there's an A note. We take that down by 2, add that to the rest of the chord. That's A7 as well, right? So just different texture. And you can have both sevens in there as well. So that one, that's fine. It all depends on what texture you're after. C7 so there's our eighth. So you just find the eighth first. And remember, it's not necessarily that we're taking the eighth down by 2. We're putting a note in there that is two semitones below. So sometimes that's practically the same thing, but in this case, it's not quite. So there's the eighth, but we're on the first fret, so we can't take that down by 2. So if we just get that note on an upper string, take that down by 2, add that to the rest of the chord, C7. Okay, D. And as I said, I'll give you the chord diagrams, but I want you to kind of find these by knowing the anatomy of a chord, right? So for example, you know that this note here is the third. So there's D. We'll call this the eighth for the purposes of sevens, but it's a D note, so right now we'll call it the first. 1, 2, 3 for major, or 1, 2, 3 for minor. So minor third, major third, right? So here, there's a D. We'll call that the eighth for now. They're kind of interchangeable. In the same way that sometimes we'll call the second the ninth, the third the 10th, the 11th the 4th. Just kind of adding and taking away 7 to go up or down an octave, right? So here, there's the eighth. Take it down by 2. D7. E. There's one of the eighths in it, so we can take that down by 2. But another way of doing it would be to say that the open E string is an eighth, put that on the B string, take that down by 2, add that to the rest of the chord. And again, you can either have your normal E chord with just this seventh at the top, or you can have the other lower seventh in there as well. Again, it's just a matter of texture. G then. Now, if you look up G7 in a diagram, you'll almost definitely get this one. There's the eighth G note in the G chord, take that down by 2. Never been a fan of it myself, I just don't like the texture of that at the top. So a nicer way to do it, in my opinion, is just to take your first finger, so there's a G note there, put it on this string, take that down by 2, so there's another seventh you can put in the chord. So we'll just block that one now that we're not holding it down in the right place anymore. It's just a kind of a more subtle version of it. So there's the G and 7. It's just a bit nicer in my opinion. Okay, so major sevens then. We'll run down through these quick. Oh, by the way, your bar chords then, let's say you want, I don't know, some random one like a C sharp 7. Take the A7 shape. And there you go. Just bar it up like you would anything else. If you want F sharp 7, E7 is another nice easy barable one. E7, F7, F sharp 7, and so on. Major 7s. So again, very simple. The 8th is going to be the same, and this time we just take it down by 1. A major 7. So 7s have that kind of giddy, mischievous, dirty, kind of like a major chord with attitude type thing. You know, it's kind of hard to describe these things with words, but you get what I'm saying. Mind you, that's context dependent, right? We could say A7 to D7, you know. It's kind of got that thing going on. If we just keep the A7 though and replace the D7 with a D minor, then it's totally different, right? So all of a sudden, it's got this very serious kind of thing going. So it is context dependent what the effects that these chords actually have. So do experiment with them. So back to major 7s. We did A, 8th down by 1 to a major 7, a high 7 in other words. A major 7. Remember, the term A major 7 just means chord of A with a major 7th in it, right? The word major there is referring to the 7th, not the chord, right? So there's kind of like A major 7. Right? C major, there's the 8th. We're on the 1st fret, take it down by 1. C major 7. D, there's the 8th. Take it down by 1. E is a bit of an odd one. So there's one. We could just rearrange the chord so that this one is down a fret. So there's the 3rd, there's the major 7, there's the 5th. You could also do this if you wanted. There's the 8th, put it there, take it down by 1. But if we want an E major 7, my favorite way to do it is to take D major 7. And then you can just leave the open E in there. 5th, 1st. Finally, G major 7. Nice and easy. You can turn it around like this if you want. There's the 8th, take it down by 1, put those other 2 back there. Okay. And then, and again, when it comes to barring them, you can take the D. There's E major 7, F major 7, although you can always just do that for F major 7 as well. These will all be in the diagrams, by the way. And A major 7 is nice and easy to bar as well. So minor 7s then, so obviously major 7s then have that kind of romantic, lovey-dovey, fuzzy feeling inside kind of thing going on with them. So they're good for that. They're very lush. You can combine them as well. Like let's say you've got this one here, an E flat major 7, so that's C major 7 taken up by 3. If you put them as semitone next to each other, sound quite nice as well. You can kind of combine them in odd little ways and come up with lovely textures. So there's C major 7. Take it up by 3. E flat major 7. Another 3. They're just nice. Very pleasant. Minor 7s. So again, we've only got 3 here. So A minor 7. There's the 8th. Take it down by 2. A minor 7. Or you could say that's A. There's the 8th. Take it down by 2. A minor 7. That's the one they have in Stairway to Heaven, you know, Okay, D minor 7, there's D minor. There's the 8th, take it down by 2, bar, 1st fret, 2nd fret. I've just got my finger here it's easier to mute that way. E minor 7. Easiest chord ever here. Now, for my liking, that sounds just a little bit too much like that. Okay, so in my opinion, a much better way to do an E minor 7 is just to have the normal shape here and then there's the E, open E string, put it on this string, take that down by 2, add that to the rest of the chord. That texture there between the 8th and the 7th is nice. And then for barring, you can just use this one for let's say F sharp minor 7, E minor 7, F minor 7, B minor 7, take the A minor 7 shape up here. Okay, finally, there's the minor major sevens, right? So the minor chords where we take the eighth down by only one, right? So this is what they sound like. There's the eighth, take it down by one. Kind of murder mystery type vibe. D minor, take that down by one. So that's D minor major seven, right? E minor major seven. They all have that kind of weird vibe about them. So they're by far the least common of them. So I'll fire on the chord diagrams as well, but just experiment around with them, because when you combine these in all kinds of different ways, you get some really cool textures. So just throw them around the fretboard and see what happens. But yeah, it's all about knowing the anatomy of the chord, trying not to rely too heavily on those chord diagrams. All right, I'll see you next time.